Hello and welcome to Spectrum TV. I'm joined today by Nigel Streeter and Andrew Davis from StreetsAhead Productions. Hello gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
Oh, good. StreetsAhead Productions, tell me about it. I've heard lots about it, but let's talk about it today.
Can we start with where it came from or how it started?
How did it originate? How did it come about?
Myself and Nicky Marsh, who's one of the fellow directors, we were in a play together. We did a stage play, and I can't remember exactly when the conversation happened specifically, but somewhere along the way we sat down together and said we both had this idea about the fact that we wanted to use film and visual arts as a means to an end. And what I mean by that is the fact that we wanted to use it to offer opportunities to people, to build self-confidence, to build some sort of specific skills and some generic skills.
Yes.
So that was where it first came from. And it started off as an intergenerational project, but it's now branched out to be something completely different.
Right, it's just that you listen to StreetsAhead Productions, and you just assume it is a production company, a film production company, but there's a lot more to it.
Yeah, there's a lot more than that.
Yeah. I think the main message is the fact that it's not just a film production company.
Yes.
As I said, it's a means to an end in as much as we use those things to give opportunities to people, to build their teamwork, personal responsibility, things like that.
What sort of people do you offer the opportunity to work with you? What sort of people?
Well, it could be anybody, really.
Absolutely anybody. I mean, at the moment, I'd say we've just done this UAR, which I guess we'll talk about in a while, urgent assistance, and that was really just to help the emergency services with post-traumatic stress disorder. So anything, I think, we will do, as long as there's a good cause and we can help people and give something back, I think that's the ethic, I think, really, isn't it?
I think so. That was something you came up with because we had some workshops as a part of the project, because funders, generally speaking, are not interested in just funding filmmaking.
Yes.
But that wasn't what we wanted anyway. We wanted to use it as a means of sort of doing all the things I just said. And we had a workshop, and Andrew actually came up with the phrase, "It's about giving something back." And that's sort of embedded in itself in exactly what we're talking about.
Yes.
Because I think we've both been quite privileged. We've had the beauty of being able to act and do things that we've enjoyed, and I think we like through that sort of medium give something back to people in a way that can be productive for them. As I say, that's really quite important for this.
Yes, well, I read somewhere there's two sides to the production company. Then there's the commercial side, and can you explain a little bit about that? I mean, you do. Explain the commercial side and where it comes into giving something back.
Well, if you imagine now, StreetsAhead actually is a proper company.
Yes. It's
not just people deciding to get together. It's actually a registered company. It's a community interest company because
making films.
Yeah, but the thing is that we have to take on the business side, and we have to say, how do we pay the bills in relation to insurance, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So we do small commercial projects at very good rates. They are, because we don't need to make a huge profit for shareholders.
Because
and all
that's
not the purpose.
We don't make profit anyway.
We're
not in it for profit. No. It's not.
So we use them to pay the bills, but so everything we make goes back into the company to run the company to carry out the educational project, which is our main purpose.
Yeah, so serving the community really, really well, isn't it?
I hope so. Yeah, I mean that's the idea.
Yes.
It's something which is almost like a bit of a passion for everybody that's involved. And if actually, funny enough, you say about everybody's involved, what I'd like to talk about as well, if it's okay, is about the fact that there was actively just myself and Nicky. But now we've got a bigger team.
You were the two directors, yes. And you're the technical director?
I'm the technical director of StreetsAhead as well, yep.
And we've actually got another 5
There's
people.
5 as well. And
so 7 directors in all?
8 in all.
Oh, 8. So it's
Me,
Nicky as well.
Andrew and another 5.
So it's definitely a growing, thriving business.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think we've got guys at the beginning of the scale up. We've got guys in college. So some of the people on the sort of the board there are sort of still in uni, for example, right up to older people like us,
more mature.
Which gives it hopefully gives it a bit of a better blend of people's ideas and concepts and things like that.
So your doors are open to anyone. They don't have to have certain criteria to joining.
This specifically is not to do with, as I said earlier on, it's not to do with buying services in to make film.
Yes.
The film's just a means to an end.
Yes.
And the reason we expanded was because of the fact that myself and Nikki had recognised for 2017 that there was going to be quite a lot of expansion. And basically we couldn't do it on our own.
Yes,
so that's when we went to some of the people who were at the workshops who had shown a genuine interest, like Andrew, like the other people involved, and said, how would you fancy coming on board? And we didn't know what the answer was going to be. And the answer was yes. So that's why we've got
a response to that.
A whole management team now, and other than the legal aspects, we are going to take decisions as a group.
Right, so there's a real kind of therapeutic feel about all this.
I think so, hopefully,
isn't it? You know, having fun and...
well, we've not doing rows yet, have we?
Well, no, not yet.
Not yet, no.
You were talking about the film earlier on, and I think it was based on your personal experience, so we can talk about the film for a minute. That's called Urgent Assistance Required.
Yeah.
And it's all to do with post-traumatic stress disorder, which, as you say, is very prevalent in the services, but not just in the services, as you know, in the armed forces as well. People talk about, you know, the guys you see sometimes on the street.
Absolutely.
You know, these are the people who, you know, gave up a lot for us actually, and we just forget how traumatic this is, and how it ruins lives, and people often end up like that. So it's a very, very good problem, if that's the word we want to call it, that you're addressing there. But it was based on personal experience for you, wasn't it?
It was a funny combination of things. I actually
Tell
did
us
a
about
film.
how it came about, your experience, I mean.
I actually made a film called Into Exile a couple of years ago in Newport, and that was about a Falklands War veteran, and he was living on the streets because he couldn't actually get his life back together. So his problems came from the fact he'd been a soldier. And part of the conversation that we had, must have been about a year later I suppose, was to do with the fact that something like that had happened to me in real life when I was a police officer. And I'd gone through like a really bad period where I'd had like a huge panic attack.
Was it because of an event, or was it just come out of the blue?
But no, that's the message. It isn't to do with a traumatic event.
It was just a whole series of
build-ups. So it's almost a build-up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so if you were at war, for example, it isn't about, you know, just seeing your comrade's head being blown off. It's just a build-up of being in that war zone, in that conflict zone, and it just builds up perhaps after months,
but
in years even, until
the main thing is the fact that you probably don't even know. And this came out the blue for me. I was considered to be a sturdy fella, and funny enough, there's a line in the film, which is what I originally wrote, which was to do with the fact, why has it happened to Charlie? He's so sturdy, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
But that's probably why it happened to Charlie.
Exactly. And it was explained to me, when it happened to me, about the strong roofs and the fact that all these layers are built up over a period of time, and eventually the roof
starts going
caves in.
Right,
and when it caves in, it's quite dramatic.
Yeah.
And for me, it was quite a cathartic experience for me to write this story in the first place. It got changed a lot, didn't it?
Oh, totally changed.
That's the beauty of writing as well, isn't it? You know,
but it was
a lot of people live out their emotions through writing, don't they?
Yeah.
I think for me, I think that the point of the film as well, and when we premiered it, as we might talk about, I think it was noted, is that the PTSD isn't just soldiers. You know, the point of the film, the lady in the film, his wife sort of says, you know, but you know, he's not a soldier, for example. You know, why is he getting PTSD?
And that's always the impression, you know. I guess novices like me think, you know, it's a term that sometimes, for me, oftentimes is associated with the military. But yes, I mean, you think about any services that's dealing with
anything, I think any type of stress or
and stressful situations.
Absolutely.
Maybe not even the services. You know, I mean, the medical services. It could be anybody who's under constant strain and trauma in their lives every day. It's the build-up. I hadn't realised that myself, but it's the build-up over a period of time.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So you didn't see this coming then? This
not at all.
Trauma in your life.
I felt a little bit unwell, and part of the purpose of this is for me to actually talk about these things so people are not ashamed.
Yes, because there's a stigma attached to this, so it's really good that you're able to talk about this and feel that you can.
It's something which hopefully enables people to say how they feel about these things, to head it off at the pass, if you like, rather than going through what I went through. And what I went through compared with what's happened to certain other people is relatively small, but it had a big impact on my life, on our life as a family. And the reason I wanted to talk about it was because of the fact that in itself, if you make a film about something that isn't being talked about, that has huge value.
Absolutely.
But add on to that then, the fact that you're doing the workshops,
yes.
that you're allowing people to talk, that you're giving information, that you're educating, you're empowering people.
Yes.
And that is what that film and Streets Ahead as a whole is about.
Yes. Well, sometimes it takes just one person to speak out, and then you get a whole load of other people saying, you know, that's happened to me and I didn't think I could talk about it. I mean, we've got it in the news at the moment with the football abuse and things, and
totally.
People are coming forward, and sometimes it is, you know, it's about stigma. People think that they'll be ridiculed or told it's their fault or whatever. So I think it's great that you're able to talk about this. And just in case anybody's watching this and is wondering if they can identify with it, so just take me back a little bit to the first symptoms. You didn't think you were suffering in any way. And it wasn't a particular incident that made you realise that, you know, you were under this kind of strain.
Part of the script which never got into the film was to do with me going to work on a night shift, and I was working in the custody office.
Right.
And
very stressful job.
There's a keypad on the door. And I went to press the keypad, and I was almost like I was stuck. I didn't think much of it because I actually pressed the keypad and I went into work. And then about 2 days later, I started feeling, the only way I could describe it as being like a little bit unworldly, like I wasn't connected to myself.
Yes.
And I didn't know what it was. Not something I've ever sort of experienced before. Because the big message here, this is not about madness. This is about people going through a particular period of their life where things start going wrong. But they do, as much as I'm all right now, I don't know if you'd agree I'm all right.
Yeah, you're all right now.
All right-ish. People do get better.
Yes, that's why we need people to hear this, you know, so that they, you know, they can seek that help, join you guys or whatever. But it's interesting that it was just a little build-up, and that feeling of almost like an out-of-body experience, wasn't it? A feeling of being desensitised, perhaps.
It's what's known as medically dissociation, and what it actually feels like is though you're a split second behind yourself watching your life, so you don't feel as though you're with yourself. And it's a very, very strange feeling. And in actual fact, I still go through small bouts of it now, but I know how to cope with it now. I understand what it is.
You recognise it and you recognise the signs.
So I can actually deal with it. But at that time...
It must be very frightening, actually, because if you don't know what's happening, but you know that something's
I thought I was dying. I thought I was stuck to the bed, which is in the film.
That is in the film. We actually,
I couldn't stand up. I couldn't talk. I started shouting and swearing at my wife and my children because I was so scared. And the purpose of writing the original script and the purpose of trying to work with other people to get this film made is to get that message out there. And the message is, if you're not feeling well, don't ignore it. If you're feeling a little bit unusual, a bit different, don't ignore it. Either go and see a doctor or...
Prevention is better than cure in so many ways, you know, and with illnesses, it doesn't matter whether it's a physical illness or a mental illness, if you get help in time, you know, you probably stand a good chance of recovering. And I think the message is really strong for people out there. Would you say it's in any way, because anxiety attacks and panic attacks are very, very common, you know, I know people who suffer from that, and it's very debilitating, and it means that people really can't get out of bed and go to work. And some people think they're just pulling a sickie, but you know, we don't understand. You know, physical problems are really, really unpleasant. But if you break an arm, people can see. It's the whole stigma surrounding all, you know, mental illness, which isn't just one. You know, mental illness isn't just one word.
No, and I think that,
you know, things.
We did this disability arts thing, and there were a lot of people in the audience. There was like 150 people there, I think, on this one, and quite a few people there actually had PTSD. And they were sort of talking about it, weren't they, and some of the trauma they'd gone through, and you really do you sort of get to appreciate just how
you realise how prevalent it is, you know, it really is out there, and I think it's probably on the increase as well. So I think that anything that makes people aware is a good thing. So the film has been premiered, and you starred in this film? Starred is not a word I like to use, actually. You had a role in the film.
I had a role in the film. I played the doctor in this particular film, so...
that would be Nigel's doctor. Yes.
It would have been.
It would have been Nigel's doctor.
I was going to play the lead role, but I decided not to because it was a bit too close to home.
So basically, I sort of delivered the news to the to Nigel's wife, if you like.
Well, which could have been cathartic, or it could have gone either way, I guess. Sorry to interrupt you.
No,
there,
it's fine.
But I'm just thinking, if you played that role, it might help you, but it depends on the person, I guess.
I think it was good that I declined.
You did the right thing.
I definitely think I did the right thing for the film and for me.
Yes.
But the point I want to make is the fact is that we don't just talk about issues and problems, because this was something which sort of organically grew because of my own personal experience.
Yes.
But like the next thing we're doing now, we're going to be doing a bid with the Heritage Lottery Fund.
That's right.
And that's going to be about unsung heroes of the First World War.
Yeah.
So as long as it's something that needs to be said, that needs to be put out there,
a message that
we'll
needs
do
to be out there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes, and there's a lot we don't talk about with the wars.
So we're looking at conscientious objectives, I think, is part of it, isn't it? We're looking at part of that, I think, and their role and how they're portrayed.
Conscientious objectives, yes, and the way they were treated. I mean, they were.
So it's things like that, really, isn't it?
There's, I think, the 4 things that they were interested in, which is what we're going to concentrate. I've actually got Grace coming here on Friday for us to start writing some script outline.
All right, this is the writer.
She's one of the management team, but she's actually a writer as well. There was conscientious objectives, there was women at home, the ones who kept the families together when they met their husbands and sons were at war.
Yes.
There's racism against black and ethnic minority sort of servicemen, and there's from the children's point of view, not about the children, but from the children's perspective. And all those 4 things Heritage Lottery Fund have told us have been almost nothing in the First World War has been done on those 4 things. Incredible. So that's what we're going to be doing.
It's such big issues
huge.
Not so distant past, really, when you think about it. It's certainly in the 1900s, isn't it? And so with the children issue, what's that about? Because I know that children were getting evacuated in the wars, weren't they? And going away and perhaps not seeing their families again and things like that. She specifically said, Sally said, that there's been a lot of stuff done looking at children during the war. Very little has been done from the children's perspective in relation to the effect it has on them. Yes,
so I don't want to give too much away, because obviously we've got to sit down and
we've got to bring something first, haven't we? But perhaps through their eyes would be in
relation to whether we could do one story about a family.
Yes. Because
the one son, for argument's sake, is a conscientious objector, and we want to talk about why he refused to fight, and they weren't all cowards. A lot of them went to war but refused to pick up a gun. And one of them is I can't think his name at the moment now. He's a double VC, and he was a stretcher bearer. There's the sort of, they could have someone staying with them who was like a black soldier or whatever. The mother could be the person who's actually keeping all these things together, and the son or the daughter could be the one looking at why the family functions the way it functions. That's just an idea at the moment.
Yes. There's so much to talk about. There's so much there buried in our parts, isn't there, that we need to be talking about. And I think you guys are doing a great job at bringing these things to the forefront.
We're trying.
And to keep them in people's conscience, or actually put them in people's conscience, in their conscious minds. Because, yes, they do need to be talked about, don't they?
Absolutely.
And this is the kind of job you're doing, and you're doing a very good job, guys. So that's your next project then, and you see yourselves going on to do bigger and better things.
Well, you say bigger and better things. The ethos of the company is to do with the fact that we, as I said earlier on, do not buy in people to make films.
Yes.
So therefore, sorry, the dog's just coming in. It's tea time. I did say you'd come in, didn't I? We do not buy in people's services to make films.
No, of course.
So we've got an opportunity to be given a small amount of money, to actually make or put together a project for the Brangwyn project for older people in May. Right. So even if it's only a few £100, we don't sniff at that, because the benefit that you could do for a relatively small amount of money is huge.
Yeah.
And that's another great cause, because we talk about children and the importance of children and protecting their minds and where they might have suffered during the war and things, but older people, I think that's another great issue as well. There's a lot of people, and older people in our society who are just forgotten, really.
Yes.
And especially as we're approaching Christmas now, and that's the time of the year I think they feel it most. So it's great that you're kind of exposing all this stuff, for want of a better word. If somebody wanted to join you guys, what would they do? How would they get in touch?
Well, very soon. The reason we haven't got our website at the moment is because we've actually been doing some work on it. That will be up soon.
Yes.
I'm not quite sure what the address is going to be for that.
StreetsAhead, I think it's StreetsAhead Productions, isn't it?
If they just put StreetsAhead Productions in, I
Yes.
think it's, off the top of my head, yeah, just put StreetsAhead Productions in anyway, it'll come up.
Should do.
We've got a Facebook page, and they can get hold of myself or Nikki, and I can give you the telephone. Do you want us to actually give the telephone numbers now?
Yes.
Is that okay?
As we sign off, give the telephone number. That would be absolutely
I've got to try
brilliant.
and remember Nikki's telephone number.
Because I have to say, when I looked you up, I mentioned it to you earlier on, Andrew. I looked you up on the website, and it just takes us automatically to a Los Angeles film production company called StreetsAhead.
Yeah.
And it's streets. It's 2 words.
The Streets Gap Ahead.
That's it. Yeah.
That's what. Yeah.
So, but Andrew did tell me that's because the website is
Yeah, we're still
in renovation stage.
pretty much.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
but no, it's an absolutely great cause, and I think you guys are doing wonderful work. So just in case anybody wants to get involved, perhaps you'd just like to let us know the telephone numbers and how they can get in touch.
I'll give you my telephone number because I can't remember Nikki's. I can find out for you in a minute if you want me to, but my telephone number is 07842 975 436.
Do you want to repeat that?
I will do. 07842 975 436. Do you want to give them yours as well? You happy to?
Yeah, mine is 07979 535 812.
Okay, we got those numbers. It's been great talking to you both. So
Thank
yes,
you.
if you want to get in touch with StreetsAhead Productions, that's what you do. Bye for now. The dog wants to be part of this as well now. So my question is, I mean, StreetsAhead Productions sounds absolutely brilliant. StreetsAhead Productions sounds brilliant, and I want to ask you guys if there's one message that you give the public about what's involved and your feelings on it, what would it be?
I think it's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, it's all about having fun. It's about people learning and having opportunities. But come along, enjoy yourself, have fun, have a good time, and be part of the team, I suppose.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's a great cause as well, as we said, so great.
Thank you.
So you hear the guys, come along, give it a go. StreetsAhead Productions.
And Reggie.
And Reggie.
All right? I know it's tired, that was tea time, man. It's tea time now, isn't it?